man. That was hilarious. All right, so we had SummerSlam Night 1 last night. Lots of moments from Night 1. Some great, some bad, some we didn't see coming. Maybe some of us did see it coming. We'll never know. Lost episode. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. But
You
before
know who
we
we
do, we
are, though,
gotta
right?
do
You got to make
yeah.
sure who we are.
Hot Tag Radio. Hit that like and subscribe if you're watching this. We know it's on YouTube, unless it's a clip, but
It's not.
It's on YouTube.
yeah. Sometimes it's on YouTube. Okay, so hit that like and subscribe. Hot Tag Radio at Hot Tag Radio 25 on Instagram. Again, we communicate back to you. You hit us up, we'll get back. James is still waiting to cut a promo on something.
Yeah, man. He's starting to get rusty with his promos, man. He's got to get ready to cuss somebody out and talk about how bad their breath
Everything about
smells.
them is.
Absolutely. All right, so this is technically not on our run sheet here, but we'll just plug this in real quick because that's all it really needs. Jey Uso, Roman Reigns opened the show. How do we feel about that? Very quickly.
What's the saying? Like, if you're not on last, you want to be first. So I guess Roman got his spot. It was exactly what you expected. I don't know. It felt very status quo.
Yeah, it was. And again, nothing wrong with being first. I think in the past few years, first has become sort of the as Jay said, sort of the second best match of the night. I can almost guarantee you, Io, Naomi, and Rhea will be first tonight. So nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it was a standard match. They made a big deal about Roman pulling Jey out of the way and taking the bullet for him. We'll see if that goes anywhere. I think Bronson looks like he might have gotten hurt. Hopefully that's not too bad. But it was kind of your standard match, and it ended the way that we thought it would end.
Echo both of those sentiments. I think that's exactly where it was. That might have set a tone for the crowd for the rest of the night, but we'll get there. All right, so we have new women's tag team champions, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair. They are not friends, by the way. They are not friends. What's our opinion on this? Like, is this going to be a serious title run, or are they just kind of
is any women's tag team title run a serious title run?
I was gonna say.
Well, I mean, you can say that, but if that's what the standard is, right? Like, then every run is technically,
The standard is, with very few exceptions, and maybe the Iconics there are very few Katana Chance and Casey Catanzaro. Like, there are very few, oh my gosh, we are tag team champions. We were looking for this, and this was what we were shooting for. Most of the time, it's, hey, it's these two women that ain't really doing anything. Let's throw them together and give them the belt.
Well, they
exactly
basically said as much on the post show, where Charlotte was like, I didn't even know after Mania if I was going to be at SummerSlam. And it was literally like, we didn't have anything for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, you didn't know. So I kind of agree. I don't hate the pairing, if I'm being honest.
It's a fun pairing. It's a fun pairing.
Yeah. They're doing everything that they can with it, and I do appreciate that. We'll see if it actually goes anywhere. It would be great to build their feud down the road.
What's funny about it is it very well could be leading to an Alexa Bliss heel situation with Charlotte Flair being the face. They've done a lot to really, especially after the whole Tiffany Stratton brought up my marriages, and that's Ashley, and in the ring I'm Charlotte. There's been a lot going on with Charlotte becoming more liked as an actual real person, and they're kind of transitioning it to the ring. And it would not surprise me to see Alexa be the heel in this when it goes south eventually, whenever it goes south.
Well, and there's a strong possibility that Alexa, knows how to handle being booed out of a building, because Charlotte definitely didn't. Chicago broke her, like, very publicly, very on camera. Kind of got back to see that on Real, which that's not even on the list. But if you watched any of that, you saw, like, she just didn't know what to do. And I think, given that this sucks, because this is speculation that's not anything to do with wrestling, but I think with where she was in her personal life, having a building of 20,000 people booing the shit out of you just probably wasn't great for her, like,
Yeah, and it doesn't help that.
mental shit,
Yeah, it doesn't help that a lot of sort of the push pull was stemming from someone making a commentary about her actual life. If it were
That's the
just,
Yeah,
oh, you're Charlotte Flair, we don't like you because you think you're better than everybody, that's Charlotte Flair. Like, I think she
yeah,
understands that. I don't think she
yeah,
understands, like, hey, Ashley, here's something that's going on in your personal life, and therefore we don't like you. And so
yeah,
it's it's a challenge. But what I'm curious
yeah.
about is, and I'll throw this to Jay. What do we think happens now with Raquel and Roxanne?
I think it kind of depends on Liv's timeline a little bit, but it's either going to be one of two things. Either this title loss is going to cause a lot more friction between those two, and eventually that will cause more of a rift in the Judgment Day, or Dominic Mysterio will save everything, and at that point, the tag team titles will eventually come back to the Judgment Day. But
Well, the savior, Dominic Mysterio.
and that's
Uh,
really all it is.
we gotta tag him on an episode just so we can see, like,
Yeah,
well, if it's not a lost episode, I suppose.
yeah.
No, I think that's a valuable point, James. Here's my thing with the Judgment Day is they just seem like a collection of people at this point. Like, at their prime, they were wreaking havoc, and now it's just
They
a
feel
group
like
that's almost like backstage.
they feel
You
like
know?
NWO in 2000. Like
not
there's a
not the black and white led by Vincent.
yes, like I'm just like
I mean,
it's just
you
a
know,
before they had their key staple people with Rhea Ripley when she was and Dominic and Finn to an extent, and then Damian Priest was there as well, and I don't know they felt a lot livelier once you got rid of Rhea. Once uh uh God, I already forgot his name. Damian Priest was
you forgot it.
listen, don't get me started on Priest.
Ah,
But I'm just saying it's been flat until Dom started doing some stuff and kind of got the team relevant again.
yeah,
I don't know. I just feel like without that, it's really without the mix of Dom, Liv, and Finn chiming in and causing that kind of rift. They are just a group of people who
Well,
happen to wear the same colors.
I'll give you one other thing. They shouldn't have got rid of Carlito. And people can say whatever they want to say about whatever, but
That man was a
Carlito,
comic relief of that group,
full on
without a
comic relief.
doubt.
But that, I mean,
yeah,
they
That was
needed that.
perfect. That
It
was
was,
perfect.
yeah, it was the same as R-Truth, man. Like, when R-Truth left, it, like, you needed that comic relief for the group. You need the comic relief, and you need the heater that takes, takes the hit. And while it can be JD McDonough, Carlito was a much better sort of foil for whomever was going to get, the heat on it. All right. We want to jump
yeah.
to, to,
Let's
to sort of I don't
go.
want to call it the big topic because the big topic was definitely at the end, but the big topic for me in terms of sort of like what I want to talk about that has controversy to it is Tiffany Stratton and Jade, and how much Jade was built up over the past few weeks with,
Mm.
beating a now
Yeah,
current
Oscar,
women's world champion, beating Asuka in the finals of Queen of the
Queen of the
Ring,
Ring.
Queen of the Ring.
Yep.
and just literally running roughshod over the division, only to get like beaten quickly, clean by Tiffany Stratton. Like, does that take the shine off of Jade? And more importantly, what they were trying to do does that actually make you think Tiffany Stratton is more of a champion?
I think
I mean,
the former
yeah,
for
go
me
ahead,
is
Zen.
more true. I feel like it takes more shine off of Jade than I feel like it puts shine on Tiffany.
Yeah,
I think Tiffany was already there. I don't know how much else they could have done as far as with Jade to get Tiffany at a higher point. But
right.
with Jade, she ran roughshod through whoever she needed to get to this point. Now
Everyone.
she's lost clean very
Yeah,
quickly. And what is next? Like, what do you do with Jade now that's supposed to be compelling?
right.
I don't know.
I mean, the only thing I can think is that now you go through the process of building her back up and hopefully having a very strong showing, if not winning the Rumble. But that being said, it seemed like this was like a match that could have happened on Raw, right?
Hmm.
And
Yes. Sunday
there was
night
a
heat at
very
best.
big yes. Um, there was a very big shift, it seemed like right off the bat. Oh, well, Tiffany's only been doing this for 4 years and she's a natural and she's this and she's been on the main roster for a year and she's been champion for this. And that's all well and good. But you had spent months building up Jade as a monster for her to, like, if you don't want to put the title on her, that's fine. Like, have some sort of like messed up finish, like however you need to do that. Having her lose clean in under 10 minutes. I think that was a big drop of the ball. And I get it. Maybe she can't go longer than that. That's fine. There was a big time investment, the big commitment from other people that had job to her, like
Yeah.
she was beating the snot out of Naomi for months.
Yep.
Right.
She goes into the Queen of the Ring, beats the snot out of Asuka. And then it's for what? So she can lose clean in 7 minutes on the biggest show of the summer?
Well, here's what I'll say. I'm gonna put a quasi positive spin on it. It's not a a heavy duty positive spin, but I'll put a quasi positive spin on it from my particular perspective, and it may not apply to any of you all. One of the biggest struggles that I had with Jade is that I always felt like in her matches and how she was booked, it never felt like, anyone was hurting her, never felt like she was ever in jeopardy. It never felt like she was, she seemed like one of those standard sort of monster, the Braun Strowmans of the world, when it's just like, no, nothing can ever hurt the person. And so having her lose clean at least has people go, oh, okay, she's beatable. I I can't deal with whether it's face or heel, a performer who never feels like they're in jeopardy and like gets punched and just kind of shakes it off like, oh yeah, you punched me, but it didn't really hurt.
Didn't
And
register.
so that's my quasi positive spin, but at the end of the day, it was a sort of, I think, questionable sort of build up and then outcome when you take into account the build up that was there.
The payoff just didn't add up to the investment.
Yeah, I
It
agree.
just it wasn't there.
I would also Well,
Go ahead.
I would also argue that I think they're trying too hard. Like Tiffany Stratton's going to fall into that Charlotte category. I think they're trying too hard to make her a face, when in reality, I think her best work is going to be as heel. And I think they're trying to sort of push her as a face when in reality, sort of the way that she operates, her mannerisms, maybe not her ring work, but definitely sort of how she cuts promos are very heel oriented. Like Tiffy
Yeah.
Time and sort of her look, that's not necessarily how people view faces. And she's gonna start getting booed, regardless of who they put her against over time. And so I think they
Yeah.
might be better suited to have her as a heel, but we'll see.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say on this, what was going on with her boots last night? Like she couldn't tie. It was like every time I looked, they had come undone a little bit more, a little bit more. It was bad. It was bad. Personal take. Personal take.
You got wardrobe issues, wardrobe malfunction issues.
Mm, yeah, something like that. All right. So carrying across Sami Zayn, this was the final chapter. Zayn said, "I'm like we're done at the end of the match or something falls. Don't worry about it." But I, I like Karrion Cross. I didn't feel like this was a complete story. It was just like, hey, I'm going to beat you down every week, but just about every time we get in the ring, you're going to beat me. And when the payoff comes, I don't think Sammy needed the win.
No, he
And
did.
like to that point, I don't think Cross needed it, but he needed it more than Sammy. I think he's got to start getting some wins so he's viewed as a viable threat. Because now, where does he go now? Like, what is the big thing now?
He's gonna
Um,
pick on somebody else, but that's the problem with this. You can't pick on someone and then lose the feud every time. You can't
right.
do that.
Yeah,
Like that undermines the credibility of your entire sort of setup. And so
Yep.
my argument, and I'll fantasy book for 2 minutes, and then Jay, the floor is all yours. I I would argue that the next feud that he has should be with a low to mid card person, and he should not only beat the person, but have that person join him. I don't know who that person is. I would actually speculate or call out. I'll give you one person, and I think he's out injured right now. I think his next feud should be with Otis. I think Otis should be happy, fun-loving, jovial, and have have Karrion basically tell him that's not who you are, and then he beats him, and then Otis joins him. That would be my fantasy booking for Karrion Cross. Somebody that he
I'd be
can
on
take
board with
under
that.
his wing, and somebody that he can beat and then have join.
I wouldn't mind that. I honestly, I think they need to pick the Sami Zayn thing back up because it feels too flat of a finish. Like
Yeah.
everything about it just
I
feels incomplete. Because for me, the whole thing was getting Sammy to admit that he was a liar and that Cross was right.
Yeah.
And
right.
the wins and
That's where I
losses,
thought it was going.
and that's why I feel like
Like
it's. I feel like on Monday Night Raw, something has to happen to where Sammy might be done, but Cross is, and
Mm,
I need this to continue. I don't know if it goes to what's the next, whatever the next pay per view or PLE is. It needs to at least go to there because this doesn't feel complete to me. I don't know. I don't like the way it went. I don't even really care that he lost. I just don't. It feels like the story is just getting dropped, and that's where I'm
yeah.
struggling with.
the, like they had the rubber match and everything was done. You had the moment. Scarlett slides him the
I
lead pipe. It was like, all right, here it is. And then like, all right, no, I'm not going to do it. And then it was like, all right, we're done. I beat you clean. Like again, um, I I don't I don't think that was a productive finish to a storyline that again there was a big investment in, and that's now the second time that we've talked about that
yeah.
from night one of SummerSlam. So, um, it, I don't know. I guess we got two more things on SummerSlam that I kind of want to talk about. One's brief, one's a little bit bigger. You can probably guess which is which. So I know talking to you guys last night during the show, I I don't think you guys were as opposed to the Jelly Roll stuff as I was. I at a certain point was just over it. Um, I don't know, like the gear that he had made up was like falling apart in the ring. It's like hanging all over Logan Paul. I'm like, dude, you couldn't invest in some like, quality ring gear. Like you would like iron this shit on like right before like you ran out there. Like, what are we doing? It, I don't think he had fully wrapped around like what good heat looks like, and like I just we've had a lot of celebrities come through. Some of them put on a damn show. Bad Bunny comes to mind. Logan Paul was that guy at one point. But again, going back to that, Logan Paul invested. Um, he worked, made his showing in the ring decent. All Jelly Roll did last night was take a frog splash from Logan Paul for a moment.
I'll
Well,
give Jelly Roll a little more credit than that. Like,
yeah, I would too.
I'm not.
yeah,
I
I'm
would.
not. Y'all go right ahead. I don't. I mean, dude, I'll give him all the credit in the world for the work that he put in to lose the weight. That was incredible. Like an incredible transformation. Um, I don't know. He got worked a bunch. Like he was taking a lot of punches last night. Got in some offense, but I just
I think
um
I think the two examples you gave are, especially in the Logan Paul category, two very much more athletically gifted, naturally people than Jelly
okay.
Roll. And for what
All
you
right,
had to have him do, I think the playbook that they gave him was, listen, you're going to take a couple punches, you're going to look scared when McIntyre's in here. Like, to me, that the match felt off, it was because McIntyre and Logan Paul were doing as much as they could to not hurt this man and to make
yeah.
sure he's able to walk out of here. Otherwise, I
Well,
don't know. I had floor expectations for whatever I expected from
yeah,
Jelly Roll.
me
Yeah, I
too,
mean,
me too. But
that's
here's the
fair.
thing: if you go past Logan Paul and go past Bad Bunny, who is the next or who's the most recent sort of celebrity appearance that we've had to actually do a match in WWE? And I mean, the most
It's
recent
probably
one.
Stephen Amell.
That's what I was gonna say. That's the only one I could think of.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was gonna go to like some of them aren't really full matches, right? So like, you know, Michael Che and what's his face that were in the over the top battle royal, or
Johnny
you know,
Knoxville.
yep, Johnny
Uh,
Knoxville, who again, Johnny Knoxville had the ability to have a bunch of pranks, have a bunch of
That was
extra
gimmicked up.
people come in,
Yeah.
and so again, I think unfortunately our expectations were set way too high by people who were always going to be in the top 1% of celebrity people to jump in the ring. And what you got last night was sort of your standard celebrity match. Like when there's a
yeah.
celebrity who good, full and well isn't going to spend 6 months training to try and do this, I mean, you get what you get, which was sort of a arm drag, shoulder block, clothesline, like all the moves that, and then you get one move that's like your move that, it's like, to me, it was just sort of a standard celebrity match. I didn't really like it. I didn't really hate it either. I just sort of took it for what it was
Okay.
worth and said, all right, moving on to the next
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the subject of on to the next one. So, title match, Punk, Gunther, Walter. Good match. Good quality match, I guess. I don't know if it was a main event quality match, but the
Night
match isn't
one,
what everyone's talking
night
about
one.
today. Night one main event. But
Yeah.
the match is not what we're talking about. We are talking about the heist of the century part two, the
Mm-hmm.
ruse of
Ruse.
the
The
century in this
ruse of the
case.
century.
So, I mean, all right. Full disclosure: who bought into the fact that he was actually injured? I did.
Well,
I did.
hey,
He got me.
I would argue that you'll never see it because it probably will never come out. But there were people on this podcast who called that cash in as a possibility. We also sort of said, yeah, but he wouldn't be walking around on crutches out with his family if not for that. And one of us, whose name happens to start with a J, said, well, I don't know. I think that I would call what I would call this is the best kept, worst kept secret.
Yeah.
I think everyone thought it was a possibility, but no one really, really thought it was a possibility. But everyone was kind of like, that could happen. When in their mind, they were kind of like, yeah, he's really hurt. So it was
Well,
Yeah.
it was very interesting how that shook out.
I, I was thinking about it and talking to Marissa about it earlier, my wife, for those wondering, where it was like I haven't seen the company put so much effort into keeping something kayfabe in a very long time because everything always gets out, right? But it's like you got Becky posting those videos where he's walking with his daughter and he's on crutches and this is his everyday life, and you're like, oh damn, like he's really odd. They keep him off TV for weeks. Like they did as good of a job as you can in today's climate with wrestling of keeping that under wraps, even though like of course like you watch it and you're like, okay, yeah,
It's
there's the
wrestling,
chance.
yeah, it's wrestling.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
Yeah.
wrestling.
you book it yourself. I mean, you book it yourself. regardless of whether or not it feels right or feels wrong or feels true or not, you book it yourself because you're like, here's what's going to happen, regardless of whether or not you really think that's what's going to happen.
All right, so Leon,
Yeah,
Carl, let me ask you something. Because you
yeah.
said something kind of interesting as far as like keeping a kayfabe and keeping everything kind of a secret. Do you feel like with the Unreal series that's out, the fact that they are using social media to kind of push storylines ahead, is this just like the beginnings of what is probably going to be like the new kayfabe, where people are going to show up on like
Um,
the Rich Eisen show and say, "Yeah, I can't work for a couple of months," and then,
I would love that, honestly. I think that kind of tries to get wrestling back to as much as you can. I know Unreal in itself was a pretty hot button issue this week. You had the love it and hate it crowd.
hmm,
I personally loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It's not peeling back the curtain so much. The one knock that I had on it was definitely a vehicle to make Paul Levesque look like the man. Like
yeah,
I work 24 hours a day, 19 days a week, whatever it is. But it didn't mess anything up for me in terms of like, I know the show's predetermined, guys. Like, I know these are all people playing characters and like,
Yeah.
the people that are like, oh, well, it ruins the facade and this and that. And it's like, for who? Like, I've
yeah,
known wrestling was predetermined since I was single digits. I'm in my 40s now. Like, it,
Here's my only thing with it. This is my only thing with it. I don't have a problem with you pulling back the curtain. I don't have a problem with you sort of mixing some things that are real with some things that are storyline. Here's where I struggle with it though. If you are a person on social media and you are, let's say you're Seth Rollins and you're on Twitter or X, where are we as fans supposed to know where the line is drawn when you're talking? Are you talking in kayfabe, or are you talking as Colby? I think is his real name or whatever. Um,
Colby
something like
Rodriguez, I
yeah.
think.
Lopez.
Um, Lopez, yeah.
Lopez.
So when do we know that? And I'm not saying that that is an open invitation to treat anyone some sort of way, but some people view X as a way to talk to the human. Some people use X as a way to talk to the character. And you just have to be a little bit careful with that. Unreal in and of itself, it's fine because at the end of the day, but again, I go back to what used to happen on Total Divas all the time. Total Divas would have this situation where two people on the show didn't like each other, and then they would pretend like they were getting ready to fight in the ring, and there was this concern whether one was going to hurt the other one. It's like, no, that's not how this works. You know good full and well they're not going to hurt each other. So stop trying to make this Total Diva storyline into an in-ring storyline. That's not how this works. And so that's my only sort of with it. But
Well, I think the thing that mitigates that, and it kind of broke that up into two sections. No, number one, Unreal is dealing with feuds that had already sort of happened. And
hmm,
it wasn't so much like, oh, like this was all stuff that was on premise versus Total Divas was like, they're out in the world kind of a thing. Right. And so, like, I don't think that happens. In terms of like, people reaching out and trying to talk to the real person or the character, I think if you where that line is drawn is the fact that like if you're reaching out on Twitter, you have to assume, and I know not everyone will, but like you have to assume that's the character because if the real person wanted to talk to you, they're going to talk to you, right? And I know there's some dangerous situations, like the stuff that happened with Sonya Deville um, and all that. I get that there's weirdos in the world. But I don't know, man. If I'm reaching out to someone on social media that's a professional wrestler, which that's not something that I'm not like DMing guys like, hey, come on, like let's hang out. Like that's weird in itself, right? But I think if you go down that road, you have to assume that it's the character and not
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
I
even
think
the
talking about like
person.
trying to talk to hang out. I'm talking about
Yeah.
someone's feelings about a situation, right? Because I'll give you an example. Ricochet was posting some things in character, but it was borderline controversial stuff if it were Trevor, I think is his real name, the person. And so again, you could wind up getting yourself canceled over some stuff you're trying to say in character because people assume that you are the person. And so if you're trash talking somebody that's not a wrestler and you're doing
Yeah.
it kayfabe and someone doesn't like it and thinks you're doing it as your real life person, it can become very murky. And so I just it's a cautionary tale, and we just have to be we as consumers have to obviously be cognizant of the fact that you don't know which person you don't know whether you're talking to
Yeah.
the wrestler or the person, and you just have to take everything with a grain of salt and don't get bent out of shape about it. But as the performer, you just have to be careful which of the two you're doing too, because you could wind up getting unnecessarily canceled for talking
No, I
kayfabe.
100%
I get
agree.
that.
But I think on a larger scale, I mean that's everyday life, right? Like we all portray a different person at work than we do in public. And you know, not going to say what I used to do, but you know, people would recognize me, and it was like you're not entitled to be my friend. You know, like if you see me out in public, it's like, hey, you know, like I can say what's up. You know, some names I remember, some names I don't.
Sure.
But um, you
But
know
in that in
that
that but in that same vein, I when I post anything as me, I know good full and well that if somebody doesn't like that I have posted that I am not a fan of this person or that person, that could get back to me as far as my job goes. And so
yeah,
it you just have to be super careful.
yeah,
A slippery slope,
no, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean,
But
you definitely do. I think I think we started talking about this over the Rollins stuff.
Yeah,
I think in
right.
that regard, I think WWE was fully on board with what was happening.
Oh, I'm
Like, yeah,
sure.
post it to
I
you,
think they,
Yeah, I'm
you
yeah,
know.
sure.
But
Yeah.
you know, but I think that's look. If you're a performer and you want to say some off the wall stuff and you don't get it approved by the company first, then you know that's a lack of common sense. I can't help you, right? So like, yeah, there's some give and take, but this is the new world, man. Like, you go back into the 70s, 80s. If a guy broke kayfabe, he just wouldn't get booked, right? And now, you know, times have changed. There's a little bit different sentiment, but now it's not whether or not you break kayfabe. It's like, don't say anything so stupid that there's not coming back from it.
Yeah.
I get,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
cancel culture doesn't let you come back from a lot of stuff, my friend.
No,
And with that, we're probably
yeah,
Yeah, we hit that time.
we have to shorten up
so
some of the other segments to get through today, I think.
we're hanging in. We're good. We, we're going to talk about Greg's area of expertise here.
Yeah,
So,
I gotta get y'all on the AEW train so I can get y'all in the mix on some of these storylines and things that are popping off.
well, so we'll just chalk this up to another you know the lost episodes. We're gonna start calling Greg like Indiana over here. But there was a very solid prediction made that
Mm-hmm.
no one will ever hear except the two of us, unfortunately. But there were like you almost could have
To a
booked it
T.
yourself.
To
Like
a
I don't know
absolute
how
T.
else to explain that, but it was booked solidly by our very own Greg, and then it played out exactly that way on TV. So we will talk about that. Greg, fill us in with what happened. I want you to give us like a percentage of how much you called this.
Yeah,
Somewhere around
I
100.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
well, so about 98, 99, somewhere in there. Yeah, I mean when Dustin Rhodes, well, first of all, when Adam Cole got injured, I think the part none of us knew was that Dustin Rhodes was going to become TNT champion. But the moment
No.
Dustin Rhodes became TNT champion, I was very confident in the fact that it was going to be sort of a way to get the title on Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher is, I think, whether Daniel Garcia, whether Jack Perry, like Kyle Fletcher is now in that spot where it's like, all right, buddy, we see breakout potential in you. Here's the TNT Championship. Do something with it. And I think now is his time. He's got Don Callis as sort of his mouthpiece. He's great in ring. I'm not gonna say he carried Dustin Rhodes to that match because Dustin did enough in that match, but that that street fight was a
He's all heart,
phenomenal.
man.
Huh?
Dustin, he's all heart.
He'll tell you in his promo.
I know. A couple of times.
Yeah.
A couple of times he'll tell you.
Yeah, but you know, I think that was a phenomenal match. I think Kyle Fletcher with the Don Callis family and Don Callis sort of at his side has the potential to have a pretty strong TNT championship reign. I think there's a number of guys out there that he could feud with. I'm very curious. Scorpio Sky is now back, and they have him teaming with Top Flight. I think he might be a very good first or second sort of challenger for him. Scorpio had the TNT belt. I think that would be a good pick for him. There's a number of other guys he could obviously fight against, Kyle O'Reilly or Roderick Strong. So there's a lot that could happen and go on for him out there. But I called it. I don't know that it'll ever see the light of day that I called it, but I'm happy to have called it.
There's one, and it might be, that one has the potential to see the light of day. There's one that will never see the light of day. Not for any reasons of our own doing, but it is definitely a lost episode. There's another one. We have it.
Okay.
Yeah, but and oddly enough, that might be the one where Dustin won the title. I think that's the lost episode from that. So,
we'll see.
So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe one day I'll do something weird at like 3 a.m. and post it.
Yeah, it'll be found.
Yeah. If someone cuts a promo on James, I will send them the lost episode.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
All right. Oh, man. We'll see.
Now we got a challenge. Okay.
I need a video promo too. I want to be able to see what I'm talking to.
Oh no, that's how that works. You got if they're cutting a promo on you, it's not keyboard warrior.
I got to read this. You've already disqualified.
Yeah, and
second life, and you
I'm posting the video. Video is posted on socials. James's response. It's all there. All right. So we covered some AEW stuff. Let's talk about Trick Williams because, gosh, this was, I think it was last week. We talked about Trick winning or retaining the TNA championship. And while on paper, that sounds like, oh man, they're putting a lot of faith in this guy and, having him help carry the company. But he hasn't come off looking so great since then. So, you get in the ring with Undertaker. But let's be 100% clear here. This is a 60-year-old Undertaker, right? And then you kind of get demolished by that same 60-year-old Undertaker. Does that help Trick Williams at all? Is any of this looking good for Trick, or is it like you just keep paying homage to somebody, but eventually the young guy's got to get a dub, right? Like,
yeah, it's not even so much that for me. I think my biggest thing is I don't know. I'm not sure what this time in NXT and him holding the TNA championship. I'm not sure what that says about how Triple H. I don't think this is a Shawn Michaels thing. I think Shawn Michaels loves him. I don't know what this means about how Triple H views him. Because many people who I would argue are not as ready, definitely on the mic. In ring, we could argue that. There's a lot of people who argue about Trick Williams' in ring ability. But I would argue that on the mic, he is way more ready than some people who've been called up ahead of him, before him. I worry that they're continuously trying to figure out if he can carry a company. They gave him the NXT title. Oh, okay, let's see how that works. Now they gave him the TNA title. I'm worried that this is less sort of them saying, we think highly of you, and more of, you're not ready for the main roster call up, but we're gonna keep finding things for you to do. And that makes me a little bit nervous because, not for nothing, his partner in crime has been up on the main roster for a while now, and he is getting full
Doom.
on buried.
Yeah.
Full on buried. And I don't want that from. So if the argument is you stay in NXT and you do your TNA thing, or you get called to the main roster and get buried, cool. We'll let him stay where he's at, let Shawn Michaels have him, and let him do his thing. But I'm very concerned what this run right now means for Trick Williams.
I think you're pretty spot on. Like, to me, I think two things can be true. I think they
Yeah.
could think really highly of him. I think that he can do his thing in NXT, help elevate TNA, and they just don't have any spot for him that makes sense in the main roster right now. And so it's better to leave him down there. Say, yeah, let him work with Taker. That's Trick and Taker. You just got to get headlines at that point. That's all that's for. Eventually, that's gonna run out because, to Carl's point, getting chokeslammed by the 60-year-old Taker isn't necessarily the greatest look on TV.
Right.
But if you're just reading a headline, oh, Undertaker's going to address Trick Williams, it sounds fine on, if you're reading that clip.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think they need to hurry up and find something for him, or honestly pair him back up with Carmelo, because I was going to say, he's not doing anything noteworthy right now. And I feel like at the very least, you can just tell that story again, and it's 10 times better than what they got for Carmelo right now. So to me, I think both are pretty accurate, pretty true.
Yeah, I think both probably right in that regard. Two things can be true. So we'll go ahead and move on from that to
one quick
another
last
topic.
thing that I want that we don't have to talk about here, but we can bring it back next week. The same could be said potentially for JC Jane, but let's see if we can talk about that next week, because I think she's getting caught in that same mix. She survived the what was the name of their toxic attraction cuts, because her two stablemates ain't there anymore for different reasons. But I want to talk to you all next week about whether JC Jane is in that same position.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to split this next thing up into like two parts. And it's two completely separate topics, but I just thought of one, and I'm going to sneak it in on the sheet because that's what we do sometimes. But we'll stick to the sheet for the first part. Hardys and Team 3D, again, in TNA. Do we need this match, man?
Who's the we?
But
Who's the we is? If the we is Bubba Ray Dudley, then yes.
Yeah, but dude, Bubba's a fiend. So here's the thing: if you're gonna have that match too, and now there's some sort of partnership with WWE and TNA, why is this match not happening in WWE? Right, like that's where I mean, I know the Dudleys had their own sense of fame from ECW, but where both of their stars absolutely like exploded was in WWE.
Sure.
Why are we not doing this in WWE instead doing it in TNA?
I can give you a reason, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, but it's sort of a sad reason. But I think the reason is because WWE doesn't want it. I think WWE is pretty much like, okay, yeah, I mean, if you want to do it, you can do it, but you do it over there in TNA. Because I don't think WWE, whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't think they feel like that match is a draw for them at any sort of viable pay-per-view. Like, might they put it on Raw? Maybe. But neither of those teams are on Raw. Might they put it on, NXT? Maybe. But neither of those teams are in NXT. Right now, the Hardys are the champs in TNA, and Devon is doing a YouTube channel, which is actually sort of interesting.
Dude,
it's in the
blew up, man. Yeah.
Well, that's because he's got Maven sort of talking him through it. Maven's sort of the blueprint, and now that they're, since they're cool,
unbelievable.
I know, it's crazy. That's another great topic for some time. Maven's channel, because that dude has become to this sort of world in YouTube what Xavier Woods became the gaming YouTube. But I think, in all honesty, I don't think the WWE sees it as a viable sort of big time match. But if the TNA titles are on the line, it is guaranteed to be a headline drawing thing for TNA, and so,
Yeah.
and that is it. Maybe
Okay.
you do it.
Well, I think the other part of this is, I mean, if you listen to some interviews going around and you heard the Devon interview with CVV, well, just say it out there. Devon, as a couple of years ago, could barely get around,
Yeah,
right? And he went through the whole process of having all these surgeries, worked pretty extensively with DDP, doing the DDP yoga, and now I guess feels comfortable enough. But he kind of alluded to it right before it was officially announced. But the claim is that that no one knew. I digress. I don't know that I want to see this match. And like, is this just a standard match? Is it tables, ladders, chairs match? Like, it, if it's just a standard match, then I have to ask what the end game is, right? Like, why are we doing that? And I don't know that there's a clean answer for that, other than I think someone brought it up that Bubba just needs it, right? But I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. But here we are.
I'll be fine with it. I think
Yeah.
Jay has very specific concerns about one or maybe one or more of the participants. So,
Listen, I don't know. I love Jeff Hardy. I think because of Jeff and what he's willing to do in this match, whether it's on TNA or on WWE, it's going to be very memorable, no matter what. My fear is that, and honestly, and maybe that's probably one of the reasons why it should be on TNA, because the thing is, if it's on WWE, he might try to do something crazy. If it's going to be his last time doing this with the Dudleys on WWE programming, I'm afraid of what he might do, and I'm more afraid of what he'll have to do to recover from it and his long-term health after that. That's my biggest concern. Afterwards, I don't need to see.
That's fair.
I mean, there's also the fact that, listen, I can't remember what match Bubba Ray might have referenced, but whatever match it was over 20 years ago, and I mean, we also saw that same match 3 times 20 years ago, and I don't know what more I'm going to see that's going to be like, wow, that blew my mind. I didn't see that coming. If they give us a TLC match or a tables match the night before, I guarantee we could call every spot that's going to happen and win. And
well, we know Greg can. Jesus
well,
Christ.
yeah, well, Greg already has the run sheet, so
Yeah, he's producing the match as we speak. All right, so I think we're all kind of very cautiously, and I'm not even going to say cautiously optimistic, just cautiously looking at that match. If they put on a great show and everyone walks out of there and they're fine, I think that's what success looks like in that scenario. So we'll see what happens in a couple weeks, but hopefully no one's jumping off the rafters and but we'll see. Last time. So little thing I wanted to sneak in, and we're going to spend less than a minute on this. So quick takes, very quick takes. So there was a post online that basically read, if you're not going to use LA Knight and push him, then let him go. And LA Knight liked the post.
Oh, I forgot. Jay doesn't like LA Knight. I like LA Knight.
Well, I don't either.
I actually like LA Knight. I like LA Knight. I like LA Knight.
I mean,
he ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere. He's not going anywhere. In the
do you
end,
think is his contract situation coming up, and he's just trying to leverage for more money?
No, again, this might go back to the be careful kayfabe versus who you are in real life on what you like and post and all that other stuff. I don't think he's going anywhere, mainly because could he wrestle in AEW? Sure. But realistically speaking, like, That's not his bag. He is definitely a mic
Mm-mm.
guy first, a ring guy second. And I would argue that, while he could have some decent matches in AEW, I think he needs to probably stay in WWE.
I think so too. This is where it wraps up, and like I said, this is going to be quick. So let's move on because as we're recording this hasn't happened yet. But by the time it posted, some stuff's going to happen. So we need to take a look. Let's talk night 2 for SummerSlam this evening, and let's get some predictions. I'm going to pull up the card here. Is there anything that you guys are looking forward to specifically tonight?
Definitely triple threat women's match. Naomi, here's the thing. Naomi sometimes gets in matches with women that can't necessarily keep up with her. Io and Rhea can keep up with her. And I think Io can do a lot of the athletic, and high flying stuff that Naomi does. And I think Rhea can be the base. I call the base. Can be the base for some of the wild things that Naomi and Io want to do. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that they're gonna put Rhea in some positions to be able to do stuff where she beats them both down, or choke slams them both, or power slams them both, or someone's suplexing off the top rope and she power bombs. They're gonna put on a phenomenal match, I think. Even with Naomi, Naomi
Agreed.
has I would call a very hectic, helter skelter sort of RVD-esque style where it's very much like, oh, something happened, and if you're not ready for it or prepared for it as her opponent, then it looks wonky. I don't think that's going to be an issue tonight. So I'm looking forward to that match.
That's actually going to be a really good match. I'm looking forward to that actual match. I think I'm also looking forward to seeing what happens post uh, WWE Championship match, the street fight. Now that John Cena is a babyface again, allegedly,
I don't think he is.
I'm curious to see where.
That's the old bait, man.
That's
He's throwing the
listen.
bait out there.
I'm curious to see what happens post this match. That's it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
I mean,
you might have to be curious what happens during the match, because if you smell music hits, I
I mean,
guarantee you John Cena is not the face. It would be fun. It would be. I mean, I think what everyone thinks is going to happen is that if The Rock does show up, that The Rock would be helping Cody and Cody would turn heel. But I think the funnier situation would be if Cena was never being faced, and The Rock just
oh,
doubles down and helps him, take out Cody. But
I would
I'm
love it.
sure, yeah, of course, Carl would love that. We know you would like
I
that.
would. Uh, yeah. Mediocre champion. All right, let's get some quick picks.
wow.
Cody. I mean, um, mediocrity, man. We're okay with it. Tag team championship. Who you guys got? Because this is just pull a name out of a hat, right? This is a 6-pack
Seriously.
TLC challenge.
Yeah.
This,
Well, that's what
yeah,
this was building to. When we talked 4 or 5 weeks ago, or however many episodes ago, when we sort of asked like, what's going on with this division? This is what This is what was going on. It was always
yeah,
going to lead to this, because this was the chaotic booking that the division was leading toward. Honestly,
yep,
I got no clue. If I had to guess, like literally anyone in this match could win. Literally anyone
yeah,
in this match,
Mhm.
including whoever you think is the least likely team to win it.
That's probably the favorite.
It is probably.
yeah.
I'm gonna go personally. My two thoughts. Number one, I think because of the way this is shaken out recently, that Andrade and Dragon Lee.
Ray
Is that
Phoenix.
who it is? No,
Yeah.
Phoenix.
Ray,
Not Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee's a
Yeah.
letter brain. Phoenix and Andrade. I think they probably win it, but the stronger pick is probably Wyatt Six retains. But my pick is actually going to be Phoenix and Andrade.
James.
um, I think that Greg is right as far as who will win, being
Mhm.
Andrade and Ray Phoenix. I'm pulling for the Street Profits. I
My
want them to
man.
have I want them to have that run again. But
Dude,
and I was gonna pick
I
Frag Team
just
to win too, but I don't know. I think Andrade and Ray Phoenix is probably gonna just pull it out.
So I'm on board with the Profits. I think Montez Ford just needs to get that rocket that Triple H was talking about in Unreal.
Yeah.
All right, United States Championship. We got Solo, Swaggy Solo, and the werewolf,
Werewolf.
Jacob Fatu.
Do we need to
Look,
ask what Jay thinks? I
about
don't
to
know
say
if we
we
need
already
to ask.
know. Listen,
Yeah.
Swaggy next match.
I would be scared. What happens if Solo Sikoa fights Dominic Mysterio?
Oh God, that's. Remember? All right, listen. You remember when Shawn fought Taker at WrestleMania 25?
Okay,
It was just
all right. The world explodes. It's just such a great match.
it's just that great.
Dude, I mean, you want to talk about greatest match this century? That's probably going to be it.
Yeah, I would argue for this match, like I think Jacob Fatu probably, is the person who they want to sort of push in that role. But I think Solo having the belt makes the division better because of who else they
Mhm.
have to chase him.
Yep.
So, I think I'm going to go Solo on that one. But that's another one that I could see theoretically going either way, just because
Mhm.
it's sort of a pick 'em.
I agree. I'm gonna go Solo. I think it's a
Smart man.
strong showing, but I think there's something strange that happens at the end of this that Solo finds a way to win, very like a la Roman Reigns during his big run, where it was just like he found a way to win, and it's like maybe Solo was back there taking notes, right? All right, Intercontinental Championship. This one can be quick because I think across the board, this is Dominic Mysterio, right? I do
I
think
was gonna
this
say,
is
which
going to
one are you
be
talking about?
Dominic Mysterio, I think, is going to have his best match to date tonight at SummerSlam.
That should be the case. Every now and again, AJ Styles, when I'm anxiously awaiting a match of his, something happens. I'm like, that wasn't what I was looking for. But it should be a
Yeah.
very good match. It makes zero sense to have AJ Styles win the title, which is sometimes why they do it. But
Yep.
it should be a good match, and Dominic should win.
hmm all right. So, women's Intercontinental Championship match: Becky and Lyra. Let's go.
I'm gonna go Lyra. I don't know. I feel also Bailey has to be involved in this somehow, and I don't
hmm
necessarily know
Of
how yet.
course.
I
But
think Bailey. I think this is the Bailey heel turn. I think
Yep.
Bailey actually helped Becky win the match,
retain.
and they become sort of an aggressive heel sort of state. This is more hope than me actually picking this. I want Bailey to sort of adopt, like, her first heel persona was interesting. It had some comedic moments to it. It was sort of fun here and there. I want her to really adapt something aggressive. Like I actually
Yeah.
wouldn't mind her being big time Bex, but big time Bailey. Like
Yeah.
I would not hate
That'd be
her
cool.
Badass Bailey.
straight straightening
Yep.
her hair up, wearing more fashionable stuff, and being a little bit more of a, hey, I built this division just as much, as anyone else, and these young folks aren't going to come in and take it, that sort of thing. So I'm going Becky, and I'm going to say Bailey flips the heel.
All right. We already broke this match down, so this is just going to be a quick pick. Women's World Champion. Who's walking out tonight?
If it ain't Naomi, I got a problem. It
I'm about to
makes
say
zero sense to go through all of this and then go, all right, we're gonna give it back to Rio or give it back to Io. If Naomi doesn't win this match, I'm gonna be very annoyed. And when this hopeful thing inevitably comes out, I'm gonna tag Naomi and say it. If she don't win, we riot.
that's right.
Y'all right.
Here.
I'll riot with you as long as she doesn't do that like evil laugh. She loses me on that. Like if she would just say proceed with caution and walk away, I'm there. But it's that laugh. It's just broken for me. I can't do it. Um,
Just for that, she's gonna laugh
that's
at
my
you for
only
the
pick.
Right,
next
she's
3
gonna
weeks.
laugh right to it.
I
That's right.
I would love that. Like if it was directed at me, I would be on board. All right, WWE Championship. Who's leaving New York, New Jersey as champion? Yeah.
How many more dates do we have for Cena?
14 or
Yeah,
no,
he's in the
12.
teens, right?
12.
Oh,
All right.
Yeah.
If you were down to 5 or less, then I would say Cody gets this one. I don't think Cody gets it just yet. I I think it's coming. I think it's coming, but I don't think this is exactly the moment for it. I think when it gets closer to 5 dates or so left, that's when. And maybe it's not Cody, but I think Cena
Hopefully it's
probably
not
gets
Cody.
this one. I know. I think
Dude,
Cena probably gets this one.
Cena, man. I think
yeah.
I'm kind of going with like he's playing the I'm a good guy now, and he might be the only
He
platinum
laid it
rapper
on
that
thick.
shows up, but he's not going to be the only former champion that helps. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with Cena on this one.
I too am gonna go on Cena. So
What?
we're gonna
Shocked.
yeah, shocked, right? That wasn't a surprise. I'm gonna point this moment out and then we're gonna wrap it up on Unreal. Uh, it just everything that I dislike about Cody came to light when they were talking about Cena coming back for the Netflix premiere, and it was like Cody's been calling me and he wants to do a thing where like a bunch of guys are jumping Cena and he runs in and makes the save. That was Cena's return, and Cody Rhodes is on the phone with Triple H trying to make it about him, and that's exactly why I don't like Cody Rhodes. It's just everything is like, how can I look as good as possible? Like the man's coming back for his return. Like let him get that one. You know, it's a Netflix premiere. You don't have to. I don't know, man. It just
I just wanted to
that's
be
where
no.
Unreal was like
I
confirmed.
just I just wanted to be noted. CM Punk lost won and then lost the title. This is the only time I'm saying anything about it is right here, and it's not even anything bad. I'm just saying that it happened, and I'm just saying I didn't
Hey,
chime in on it. I didn't make a statement about it. That's
I'll
all I'm gonna
chime in
say.
on it for you because he had the longest title reign of his return last night. So there's that. So yeah, all right. So guys, you know the drill. Hit that like and subscribe. You can hear us argue over whether or not Cody's deserving to be champion anymore.
I ain't arguing with you on that one.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll argue just for the fun
I'm
of it.
winning.
So
Yes.
teasers for next week. Anybody? I have one thing that I really want to talk about next week, and I knew we weren't gonna have time to talk about it today. But before I do that, do any of y'all have things that you definitively want to talk about? What's funny that we oftentimes do this and say, "Oh, this we're going to talk about next week," and then I go back and look. We never talk about
Nope.
it. But next
What,
week,
dude? So,
I am going to talk about this.
all right, what do you got?
We have yet another El Grande Americano, and I know kayfabe.
Oh yeah.
Y'all keep saying, "Oh, I want to talk about, is this just sort of where Triple H puts people that heels that he can't figure out what to do with? And if that is the case, because
Okay.
now
So
you got too many people in that role.
I'm throwing this dirty rumor out there because everyone keeps saying it's a different person, but the rumors of who these people are. If you go back and look at who Penta's first three opponents were, you'll find the rumored people behind these masks.
Oh,
So if
so
we're wondering,
you're saying we're telling a story here? Is that what we're saying?
I'm saying that's the rumor.
Yeah.
Because as far as I know, El Grande Americano is the greatest luchador of all time. Um,
Second.
Dominic
masked
Mysterio.
luchador,
Oh,
masked
okay.
luchador,
Mass.
All
Oh,
right,
masked
okay.
all right,
luchador.
all right,
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
of all time.
Well, look, if that
So
is indeed the case and there is some tie there, now I am super curious about why Penta and who is sort of setting this up, because that would almost make it feel like it's not these three gentlemen that we all think are the same person. It sort of lends to a bigger,
rumored to be the same person.
right? It's a
Yeah.
bigger thing
Alleged.
where those rumored three people are reporting to someone else, because that would be too coincidental for it just to be those three. And it's like each one of them decided, oh, I don't like this one person. So we can talk about that next week. assuming we
Yeah,
do.
we'll give that the full breakdown next week, and I will try to convince you that the truth is that it's the same person. I
Good
don't
luck with that. That's not going to happen, sir.
know.
But what's funny? Here's
All
what I
right.
will say about our sort of program. Something that we talk about on this program every time winds up becoming the following week some sort of trending topic, some sort of big thing. It happened with Mr. Iguana. This happened with what was the other thing? It was something like a few weeks back that we talked about that became sort of the Austin Theory thing became a thing, and
Yeah.
so for those who are listening, finger on the pulse of what's going on.
Heard it here first.
This you're
Yeah.
gonna hear it first. Things happen here when we talk about them. All of a sudden, those storylines start to progress and things start to happen. Even the Wyatt Six stuff that you all had brought up that we had talked about. We talked about it a week before. We talked about the tag team division and all the various people and how wild it was a week before or so. I think it was a week or so before the Wyatt Six got the belts. So just saying.
Well, kind of know what we're talking about. I mean, what combined like over 100 years of wrestling watching experience between the three of us.
Hey, that'll get you
So
somewhere.
yeah, there you go. All right. So in the meantime, until next week when we talk about night two and break all that stuff down, and hopefully some craziness that happens on Raw and the other shows in between, hit that like and subscribe. Give us that follow. Hot Tag Radio, basically across the board. If you see these three faces, you've got the right Hot Tag Radio. There we go. We'll see y'all next week.